Hey, it's us again, John and Mike, brew-dudes.com, and we have something a little bit different. Gee, the head on this beer, not so great. No, this is a cider that Mike made because, I don't know, he was gallivanting around the New England countryside and picked up some pressed juice. Do I get the story straight?
So far, so good.
Totally making things up. I have no idea what the hell. He went to the store and got some. This is Mott's. No, I don't know. I came over, it was probably, we were doing one of these videos probably a month and a half ago, and I said, hey, what's that? And he's like, that's cider, and that's for later. Don't you ask too much about that. And now I don't see it anymore because it's in the keg and it's right here in front of me. So let's talk about this.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Like, you know, it's fall.
It is fall.
So it was, you know.
In the Northern Hemisphere.
Sometimes you just want to get something in the fermenter. Doing cider is super easy, super straightforward, as long as you don't necessarily want to get too fancy about it. So this was 4 gallons, well, 4.5 gallons of just your local pressed cider juice, apple juice, you know, fresh pressed juice that you find at most supermarkets, but it is some orchard relatively local to us. They don't disclose the apples. It's probably some sort of blend.
Yeah, of course.
And then in the past, historically, I don't think I've ever just made cider with apples. I mean, I've always done something. So this is another 3. Then on top of that, it's 3 pounds of local honey.
Oh.
To sort of fortify. Because I was always afraid that the cider itself, that the gravity of the cider would be lower. So a little bit of honey, just to give it a little bit more punch. You know, I don't really need it to be high alcohol, but I just want it to be whatever. So the cider itself came in at 1050, which was surprising. I thought it would be more like 1040. It's been a long time since I've made cider. Then I added 3 pounds of honey to it, so it's pushing like 1060 at that point, right? And it fermented all the way down to like 1008. So it's.
I'm surprised you got some points on that. Usually, sometimes you're like, you know, to like 1.0000.
Yeah. So it's I use a little bit of yeast nutrient, and I fermented it with Nottingham because I don't use Nottingham a lot. I had a couple packets, so I used one in this. Also, a lot of people talk about making cider with Nottingham, and I think it's just some sort of like mental. The two sound like they should be together. So I did it. I did that. And you know, so
and that's what we have.
Yeah, that's what we have. So here we go. It's been in the keg for, you know, a week or so. It's been in the carboy for longer than that. It does not seem to want to drop at all. I mean, there was plenty of yeast in the bottom of the fermenter, but it's still relatively cloudy. And I don't know if that's some sort of something with the honey fermentation too or what, but it's still cloudy.
Yeah.
We'll see as it sits cold for an extended period of time if it comes down at all. So it is what it is. I don't know. What do you think? So you've made more ciders than I have.
Yeah. Not that I'm saying I was successful at it. I would say that I was going to ask, because this is the feeling I always have with making cider, is that you pour all the juice into a fermenter. You probably squeeze that honey into the fermenter. Did you do any mixing between the two, or?
What did I do? Oh, this is what I did. So I warm it up first.
Yes.
I get a pot of hot water going. I just let it sit in there. So it runs pretty good.
Yep.
And so this was 4.5 gallons.
Yes.
The way I handled that was 4 gallons in the fermenter, warm up the honey, let it drain in there, and then back into the honey jug with some of that half gallon a couple times. So maybe a third of it, shake, and a third of it, shake, just to get more of the honey out.
You got it. Yep. And then
not that it's necessary, but that's.
And then you just pitch the Nottingham dry right on top.
Yes. I didn't rehydrate.
No rehydration.
No.
Okay.
No. Nottingham's supposed to be this high performance yeast. It even says that on the package, right?
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So I just went for it.
Yeah. Well, I think I let out a little woof when I first tasted it.
Yeah.
Because the apple flavor is there, and I was expecting to taste something a little more light, and then when you're like, oh yeah, 3 pounds of honey in there too, I'm like, okay.
I wish I had just fermented it straight, because it is It's punchy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's punchy.
The mouthfeel is,
Yeah,
is full.
I'm always blown away with cider that it still tastes like biting into a really fresh apple.
Yeah.
It's, I wonder how much of it is a mental perception of you taste apple and your brain is reacting to the apple and telling you that there's more sweetness there than there might actually be, right? Because you're so used to experiencing sweetness with apple, and certainly apple-based desserts and stuff where there's even added sugar, you have this bias in your brain that flavor is going to be sweet no matter what, and it's just really hard to. So even if you buy commercial like dry cider, I'm always just surprised at how appley it tastes, despite the fact that the sugar is almost all gone. I mean, it's really can be very, very dry. So without that sweetness, I would expect it to sort of the apple quality to fade away, but it's still there pretty strong.
Yeah.
I used to do this with like a pound of. I used to make cider with a pound of dry malt extract, just because that isn't completely fermentable, thinking I'd have a little residual malt-based sugar, keep that apple flavor alive. But in this case, this is still very, very appley, right?
Yep.
Super appley.
I'm trying to pull through the honey flavors, with most of the sugar. I would say I think all the sugar in honey is fermentable.
Yep.
What you're left with is the flavor of honey without the sweetness, and it's kind of like bee parts and things like that. It's there. It's hard to get through the apple flavor, the tartness, and all of that.
It's tart. I get a lot of there's a floral note on the nose.
Okay.
To me, that there's definitely a lot of apple there, but I get like a floral note that I imagine is coming along from the honey.
Sure.
Right. And so, of course, I want to say that smells like apple blossoms, but it smells like apple blossoms, and it's kind of pleasant. I find the aroma on this to be extremely pleasant and really intriguing. I'm not a big cider drinker. I was at my wife and I were at some friend's house over the weekend, and they had bought like Angry Orchard cider. And I was like, oh, we'll have one of those. I haven't had one of those in years, and it sort of brings back some flashbacks of bad memories drinking cider. But that being said, I don't know. I like it. I'm not going to drink a ton of this, man. No. I don't know what. Maybe it's just the acidity or that perceived sweetness. It just becomes a little bit overbearing. I should have brought down some ice.
Oh yeah,
and had some cider
you
on
can
ice,
do it that way. But
so.
This is ice cold anyway, out of a keg, so it's fine. Finishes dry, which I like. I think the carbonation is just fine. You get a lot of tingle on the taste.
I think you want that in a cider.
Yeah. And I think that this is a beverage I would have one of.
Yeah.
And it would be delicious. I'd probably have this with dinner. It'd be good.
Yeah. I might kick off my Thanksgiving with one of these.
Yeah.
Pre-game.
Yeah, pre-game with that.
With this. Get things rolling.
Right. Prepare for the in-laws, all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
I might, maybe I put 3 or 4 pints of this in the brine with the turkey in the first place, just to get the turkey rolling. Get that turkey ready to go.
Turkey is ready to be cooked.
Super happy.
Oh boy. Okay, so, I hope that you've enjoyed these cider adventures. It's super fast to make, getting into the fermenter, and satisfying for sure. And like we said, we always try to shake it up a little bit. We do the Jar of Destiny to shake up beer styles, but if you're looking just to ferment anything, a bunch of apple juice, some yeast. I would suggest some of the new cider dry yeast.
Yeah.
Really good. But you can use Nottingham, for instance. And I don't know, you can add other things into it too, but straight up juice, yeast, thyme, you got yourself a good beverage. So thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe to our channel. We kind of do this kind of thing every single week, but it's mostly beer stuff. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.